early, very early.
You want to see a dead body? Bang.
Right now, it is my pleasure to talk to somebody who I love listening to, and that is our guy, Antonio Daniels. You catch him on the Pelicans broadcast besides Joel Myers, an incredible team now on the Bally Sports Networks. AD, what's up, man? Thank you so much for waking up with us this morning.
Oh, for sure. Thank you guys for having me. Y'all doing okay?
We're doing great, and I love your energy. I don't think you're going to find better energy in the game than AD, and he has brought that energy all over the country. He recently had to shred Colin Cowherd to just put Cowherd in his place and let him know what the actual deal is with Zion. And if you listen to Pelicans games, I mean, you see him explaining the game with a level of detail that only somebody who's been in those fights really sees it from. And so, AD, you do a great job on the broadcast, and this Pelicans team is starting to do a great job as well. Let's start here, because ever since the emergence of Point Zion, this is a different Pelicans team, records-wise, stat-wise, everything else. How was it that we went through all the scouting, we go through the draft process, we go through the bubble, how was this skill set kind of lurking underneath the surface the entire time? Was it something developed recently? How did we all kind of miss this for a bit?
Well, it's not I don't think of it as being missed. I more look at it as it's risky. It's very risky.
Yeah.
So think about when Zion came into the league last year. I think the most underrated part of his game for me and watching him through college was his ability to pass the basketball. I had no idea that he could pass the ball as well as he does, or he did, even last year. But now you have a new coach that's coming in with a new staff, with a new system, with a shortened offseason, a condensed regular season, which means you have less practice time. How do you implement this? When do you have the time to say, okay, this is what we are going to decide to do? But what it takes is a coach that has confidence and a coach that has vision. And that's what Stan Van Gundy did. He said, you know what, man, let's give it a shot. Imagine the conversation that we will be having about Stan Van Gundy if this didn't work.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. No, we'd be laughing at it. The national media be laughing at it.
Exactly. So it's risky. It was risky, and it was worth the risk because of the Zion skill set. Now we can all sit back and say, this is the thing. We don't give coaches credit for nothing. We don't give coaches credit for absolutely nothing. When the team does well, we praise the players. Yeah. And when the team starts to struggle and something doesn't work, we criticize the coach. Yeah. Stan Van Gundy deserves a ton of credit for actually not just seeing this, but actually having the confidence to actually let it play itself out before our eyes.
Well, AD, that sets me up perfectly then, because I wanted to ask you about Stan. And look, hand up, I'm guilty of that. Exactly what you just said. Praising the players, going after the coach when it goes bad. I'm as layman as anybody else here. But what was your reaction to Stan Van after the win the other night, really challenging the best players? Like you've been in those locker rooms, you've been on those teams. How does that play out behind the scenes?
Well, this is a different generation, but I'm always in favor of a coach getting his best players to buy in. Because once you get your best players to buy in, everyone else will follow suit. You know, I played with Tim Duncan for 4 years, and I was present at his jersey retirement night. And Pop said a line that I will never forget because it rings true throughout the NBA. He said, you know what, Tim? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to coach you. In a player-empowered NBA, what you find is that the players hold the cards quite often. If a player's not happy, what he's doing is he's going to upper management. Hey, I don't like this guy. He benched me. The coach is fired. So to get the young stars on board and to hold them accountable. And what I love is what Zion said. I want to be held accountable. Yeah. I want to be great. The moment that you get your stars to buy in, everything else will fall in place as far as culture is concerned.
AD, I want to talk about a Pelican that was brought on only a couple of weeks ago, and that's James Johnson. You thought J.J. Redick was going to be balled out. He gets traded to the Mavericks. You get these vets back, and you don't really expect a whole lot if you're a fan base. You're getting a 34-year-old, 12-year vet back in James Johnson. But this is a guy that's playing well over 20 minutes a game for the Pelicans, and he looks like he gives them a veteran presence there on the court, in the locker room, kind of this nasty attitude that has really played well so far in New Orleans.
You know what I thought from the moment I've been here? You know what I thought this team has always needed? It's needed that guy, with all due respect, and don't take this literally, but that guy that's willing to go to war with and for his teammates. So when you have a young basketball team, you know, one of the things that guys don't want to do, they don't want to rock the boat. And the Pelicans need someone that is willing to rock the boat. So the other day when in the game when Dwight Howard knocked over Zion, which was eventually called a flagrant one. And I remember saying on the air, that's a cheap shot. James Johnson was the first one to go to Dwight Howard, the first one. And basically implying, look, this ain't flying. This ain't flying with my squad. If James Johnson's not here, that's not there. So not only does he bring the veteran presence that you were talking about, the savviness, the experience, he brings the toughness. Because I tell you this, there's one thing that you know about James Johnson. You might not know about his basketball resume, how many teams he's playing for. You know not to mess with him. I know that.
Right.
If you in alley and you're going back to back with somebody, James Johnson, that guy that you want to go back to back with. So I love the toughness that he now brings to this New Orleans Pelicans basketball team, and the fact that he wants to be here. He wants to be here. This league is all about timing. It is so it's you can go different places, and maybe it wasn't the right time. But for him to come here and Josh Hart to get hurt, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker to be hurt, and Brandon Ingram to miss 5 games, and Kyra Lewis to be hurt, it was a perfect opportunity for him to come here and expose his skill set to the New Orleans fan base. He's been fantastic.
And and then I even love they calling Najee Marshall the MVP the other night, just the energy he brought. Because so you're seeing some of these grinders give an element maybe to this Pelicans roster that hasn't always been there this year. We're talking to Antonio Daniels, former 4th overall pick, MAC Player of the Year, NBA champion, now on your Pelicans broadcast. AD, one of the most reassuring or satisfying recent trends to me has been the fourth quarter. And I know that fourth quarters have given a lot of Pelicans fans like some forms of mild PTSD in the past, but it does seem like they are starting to figure it out a bit, right? It seems like it starts with Zion and that decision making that you were talking about, but then BI started to knock down these shots. What do you think, in your view, are they starting to kind of solve those fourth quarter woes?
Yeah, and the thing that's tough is you can't expedite where we all want to get to as a fan base, where I want to see this team get to as an analyst. You can't expedite it as much as we would love to. We forget that when Kobe Bryant came into this league, he didn't come into this league with Mamba mentality. He had to fail first. Yeah. Do you remember the air ball that he had against Utah, and everybody's talking about him? Why is he doing this in the playoffs? He's playing like he's the man and all this other. He had to fail. So this part is the part that we would love to skip. But there are no skipping steps with experience. And right now, it's tough because you'll go through 2 or 3 games where it looks fantastic. And it's like, okay, maybe this team is turning the corner. And then you'll go through 2 or 3 games where this team looks young and inexperienced. But I tell you this is not this team's championship window. So patience is important. When you're talking about Brandon Ingram, who's 23, and Zion, who's 20, and Jackson Hayes, who's 20, and Kyra Lewis, who's 20, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's 21, and Lonzo. These guys are young, and not just young chronologically. They're young as far as NBA experience is concerned. So, but this right here, the refining process is never a comfortable one, but long-term, and long-term, I mean 2-3 years down the line, it will definitely be worth it.
All right, AD, before we let you go, I got to ask you about the matchup tonight. You're facing the New York Knicks, a team that wants to slow it down. They give up the fewest amount of points to their opponents in the NBA. Both teams on 3-game winning streaks. How do you see it playing out tonight?
It's going to be a very interesting game because the biggest, I I guess, the most intriguing matchup to me. There are different matchups. You can say R.J. Barrett versus Brandon Ingram, or Quickly versus Kyra Lewis coming off the bench, two rookie point guards that are extremely fast and playing well. But for me, it's a Zion versus Julius Randle conversation. That's what I am really excited to see. But this New York Knicks team, they have found a coach that speaks their language. And Tibbs has unlocked something different in Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett as far as confidence is concerned. So first and foremost for me, when I do my keys to the game, first and foremost, you cannot allow this New York Knicks team to play harder than you do, because that's what they do. They don't have a ton of talent. They don't have a lot of star power. They don't have the biggest stars in this league. They play extremely hard. This Knicks team, if you look at their roster from the top to the bottom, outside of their rookie class or R.J. Barrett, there's not a person on this roster that has not played without a chip on their shoulder. Everybody feels like they've been given up on by another team. Yeah. So now they play like they have something to prove. So you cannot allow this team to play harder than you do, and you cannot turn the basketball over against this team. They are really good defensively, and they will make you pay. They fast break situationally. So they don't do it all the time. They want to slow it down. But if you turn it over against this squad, they will make you pay for it. So this has to be a very disciplined game for the New Orleans Pelicans.
There you go. New Orleans Pelicans broadcast. Catch him and Joel Myers tonight. Antonio Daniels, our guy AD, kills it on the broadcast. Big one tonight. Jake's Knicks against my Pelicans. We'll see how it goes. We'll recap tomorrow. AD, thank you so much, man.
For sure. Anytime, fellas. God bless you guys.
Yes, sir. Well. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Man, if you don't love AD's energy, you ain't got a pulse, brah. But, yeah, I mean, so much wisdom there from a guy who he himself has been in locker rooms all around the league, the top, the best, so he knows, the dynamics that are at play. We know the dynamics that are at play when it comes to drinking beer. So let's close out the show next. We'll Ask the Bench, brought to you by Delicious Cold Coors Light.